Yeah, the paperwork is very simple, and people get really bent out of shape thinking about paperwork, and they really don't have to. The paperwork simply memorializes the oral agreement that you have with the seller. That's why when we're talking to the seller, I want to be really clear with them. And I repeat what the deal is, they repeat back to me what the deal is, and we've consummated an oral agreement that everybody understands, nothing is left out. So that then all you have to do is memorialize it with the paperwork. The paperwork is actually really, really simple. I've boiled it down to where we really only use 3 templates, okay? If we're going to buy a property, then we use what's called a purchase and sale agreement. That can be for a cash deal, it can be for a seller finance deal, it can be for a deal that involves a wraparound mortgage, it can be for a deal where we're taking over payments. We use a purchase and sale agreement when we're buying a property or transferring the deed, either from the seller to us or from us to the buyer. We use a purchase and sale agreement. So that's one. Very simple agreement, 1 page front and back. Okay. The second agreement, it has to do with a seller that is concerned about giving us the deed to the property before they've been paid off in full. And in those cases, we'll simply lease the property from them with the option to buy it during the term of our rental agreement. So we need what's called a lease purchase agreement. So I show people how to utilize a lease purchase agreement to consummate those kinds of deals. And then the third agreement is really, really simple. When we sell the property, generally we sell it using a lease with an option to buy for our buyer. And we separate the rental agreement and the option agreement, but that would be the third agreement. So recapping, purchase and sale agreement when we're buying property or selling property where the deed transfers, lease purchase when we're buying on a lease with an option to buy, and a lease, which is a rental agreement, and a separate option agreement when we are selling the property to our buyer on a lease with an option to buy. That's it. And the good news is I help everybody with that paperwork. I actually write the deals for the folks, usually in the group call, so that we make sure that they did it right before they send it out to the seller of the house or the buyer of the house. There's one other agreement that we use sometimes, and it's called a memorandum of agreement affecting real estate. Sometimes when we have a deal with our seller and we go out and attract our buyer, it ends up making sense, depending on the way the deal is structured, for that buyer to be linked up directly with the seller. And in those cases, we get paid by using a memorandum of agreement where we record that on the property, and then that becomes a cloud on the title. And then when that buyer and seller close, we get paid as a lien release through a payoff statement. So that is another agreement that I also show folks how to use in the program.
And that type of agreement can be used even if you don't have a real estate license?
That's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can't, without a real estate license, you can't link buyers and sellers up. However, if I am buying a property and I have a certain amount of time to close so that I have an equitable interest in the property and I begin selling it, and then it just turns out that there's some other buyer who comes in, well, I can't get a commission by linking that buyer up with the seller without a license, right? But what I can do is, because I have an agreement with the seller, instead of just throwing that buyer away, what I'll do is I'll just say, I'll just step aside. So I'll go to the seller and I'll say, hey, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to let you have this person who came in and you can just sell the property to them, but I still want to get paid the difference between what they're bringing you and what me and you agreed. So we're just going to put paperwork on the title here, a memorandum of agreement, that then the title company, when you close with that person, they'll just pay me the difference. So that's the way that works. So hey there, if you liked what you heard here, there's a lot more to the story. I gave you a macro picture of what's going on, but sometimes you got to dig down into the micro details to really get deals done. And what I can tell you is trying to do real estate from just videos like this alone is hazardous to your health and probably hazardous to your pocketbook. So go ahead and book a strategy call with me so we can find out if this is a good fit, and so that I can show you what this would entail for you and what things could look like financially for you in the future. I hope to see you on a call soon.